What Are Y'all Talking About? The podcast where we just jump on what everyone else is talking about and we talk about it too because we have FOMO.
That we do. And I am really grateful to say that we have a new topic today, one that we haven't touched on and one that I kind of forced you to touch on. So I'm grateful for it.
You did force me to touch on. And can I say that this is a topic you're passionate about and I'm coming in hot. I'm coming in with a very, very base knowledge. And I'm going to struggle. I'm just going to give my opinions and I'm going to ask a lot of questions. And that is good old New Jersey housewives, the real housewives of New Jersey.
Yeah. And you know what? The truth is that if you didn't come in hot, then you really wouldn't be kind of Jersey, would you? I mean, those Italians, they come in with like the flair. Plus, you've got some Jews in there too. Very similar to Italians. You know, we're big. We've got personalities and I like it.
You know what? And I guess what's beautiful about coming in the state of mind that I'm coming in is feeling like I'm quite like a cast member of the Jersey Shore where I don't really know what I'm talking about, but I am going to talk. You know what I'm saying? And that feels very New Jersey house.
But you know, this is not Jersey Shore, right?
I keep calling it Jersey Shore.
We're going to have to work on that because there's no Snooki here.
Damn, I wish there was because I love Jersey Shore. Do you want to talk about Jersey Shore? Because I got opinions about them. I love them.
I am ready to fist bump.
Apologies for continuing to call it Jersey Shore. Maybe that's just me wishful thinking that we'll switch topics onto Jersey Shore, but we're talking about the real housewives of New Jersey.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't mind a little Pauly D on there, but maybe he'll make a cameo one day.
Oh my God, I love Pauly D. Okay, so let's talk about the reunion. Again, I'm going to kind of take your lead because you're passionate about this. I'm just going to interject with my opinions and my questions.
Okay.
Where would you like to start? Because this is a hot topic that you wanted to really talk about, that you were impassioned about.
Because you know why? Because I will say, as much as I enjoyed the Scandival reunions, I feel like they built up and built up and built up. As opposed to Jersey, they came for it every single time. Reunion part 1, 2, 3, I feel like consistently good. And I don't know how you feel, but that's the way I feel.
So watching it as a person with fairly fresh eyes, again, I kind of am familiar with all the players. I'm kind of familiar. Like I know about the table flip.
Yeah.
I know that there's beef within the family. I know Teresa went to jail. I know this is her new dirtbag husband and she had big hair for her wedding. Like I know a couple of things, you know?
Yeah.
But coming in, I really found both Melissa and Teresa quite obnoxious. The fact that they would not shut up, they would not quit talking over each other. And to me, I know you said it built up, but it just felt like the two of them screaming the whole time, inaudibly most of the time.
That's fair.
And Andy just being like, guys, we have other stuff to talk about. Guys, I have questions. Guys, you didn't answer the question. You're just fighting each other.
Okay, but did that or did that not happen on the Vanderpump reunions? Because these people are so passionate about it.
Yeah, you make a good point.
And this is so deep rooted for them. And truly, if you have been in it the way I've been in it for however many years this show has been on in seasons, this is unfortunately every single reunion the same topic. Ever since Joe and Melissa have joined the cast, the same issues arise just in a slightly different way. Every single reunion.
Can I ask a question? And I mean this like kind of lovingly, but kind of like for real.
Yeah.
Teresa is mentally, intellectually challenged?
Unstable.
Oh, I was going to say challenged, but also unstable.
All the above.
Yeah, she seems like she has a hard time thinking. It felt like we're letting this person that their brain don't work very good. Her brain don't work very good. Nope. That we're letting her do a lot of leading.
Because Teresa is the OG.
Yeah, I don't know if I care.
I don't care either. So one couch is Team Teresa, obviously, except actually not completely. It's really only Jennifer Aydin is completely Team Teresa, I feel like.
She's a challenging person too.
Oh, I have lots of issues with Jennifer Aydin. A lot of issues with her.
Those two to me, I'm like, man, they felt like stuck in development somewhere. They felt like middle school age. Like
that's how they always are. And that's the problem. Jennifer Aydin is Teresa's little puppy dog, her little warrior. She'll do whatever Teresa says because Jennifer Aydin doesn't have a mind of her own. And now Teresa, who really doesn't have a leg to stand on in so many different ways, she's also fighting for a storyline. And her stupid love bubble.
You think Teresa's fighting for a storyline?
Yeah, because here's the thing. Teresa has been top dog. And Melissa, over the years, she's always had to fight for it. I mean, Dolores Catania has always been Team Teresa until more recent seasons, until Jennifer came on. So the fact that now Dolores sees Melissa's side a lot more, I think, is showing because, Italians, they're like thick as thieves. Ooh, You better watch it. Meatballs will be flying.
Can I ask you a question about Dolores specifically? Because I really liked Dolores.
I do too.
I liked that she was getting laid and she liked her boyfriend. I like all that. I like that she was friends with her ex and that was messy but fun. I liked all that. But do you think Dolores was kind of ride or die for Teresa because she felt like Teresa didn't have anybody else? And now that she feels like Teresa has somebody else, she can kind of step back from that role?
Yes, I feel that way. I think that in past seasons, if you watch, they're always riding for Teresa and they'll do whatever until Teresa crosses them massively. And when you cross
Teresa's crossing everybody.
She does, but they'll take it and they'll take it until it turns onto them.
Teresa has a lot of power for somebody who's not smart at all.
Oh, I agree 100% with you on that one.
As an OG or whatever, you could tell she's really gassed up on herself that she's the OG and the kind of quote unquote star of the show. But she is not emotionally and intellectually developed enough to have that kind of power and influence. And again, she's creating her own kind of ego where it's like, hey, Teresa, chill out because you're not that power. Like, chill out. What is this like false power you're giving yourself?
Well, you got 2 new players.
I like both of them.
I do too. And it made me sad because Danielle was most definitely played by Teresa and Jennifer Aydin. But she still went to bat.
Can you explain to me what this was? Because I didn't really understand this situation. She asked a question or something, and I was like, I'm not really gripping on to what's happening here with the throwing her under the bus. Can you explain what's kind of going on?
So this all stems with Margaret. Margaret had a friend, Laura, who is not on the show, has never been on the show, and they no longer are friends. And this person, Laura, has been spewing a lot of things out there to Teresa and Jennifer. So Teresa and Jennifer went to Laura, had a private conversation, and got all of this information from her that they now claim as truths because they have their own issues with Margaret. Jennifer clued Danielle in on this when they were all in Ireland. She clued her in that Melissa was cheating on Joe and that there was proof, but she implied that Melissa did not know. And so Danielle really harbored these feelings because she liked Melissa. Danielle was weighing heavily on her that she tells Melissa at this party at Dolores Catania's boyfriend's house about it. Poor choice. And Melissa looked at her straight in the eye and she goes, oh, I already knew this. They already told me about this. And so Danielle looked like a idiot and looked like the bearer of bad news. And it was like, don't shoot the messenger. She thought she was doing something nice. Poor timing again. But then she also then found out at the reunion that Jennifer Aydin they'd already talked to Joe Giudice about this.
They wanted Danielle to just ask her again.
Mm-hmm. And they knew that it would make her look bad.
But like when you're gossiping about something, when you're like, ooh, even if it's old tea, if somebody's finding it out fresh new tea to them, they're going to ask and they're going to be like, hey, I'm brand new to this information.
The way she made it seem was this huge secret.
Oh, like it was fresh and that she needed to be told. She needed to be informed.
Yeah, but we're not no one's telling Melissa, like, I don't want to get my hand, like, no, you shouldn't do that. Even the night of the party, she went up to Jennifer before she told her. And Jennifer was, yeah, I don't think you should do that. And yet Danielle was like, no, I feel strongly like she should know. Like, she's like, friendly with me. And instead of Jennifer saying, look, she actually already does know, so there's no need for you to go ahead and put your, fall on the sword.
But there wasn't an assumption that she's just going to ask her about it? The intention was, we're pretending this is brand new. We're pretending Melissa knows nothing. This isn't like, oh, Danielle just wants to ask her about this topic.
No, Danielle came in basically trying to imply, like, your friend Margaret over here is a shit talker and is telling people about that you're kissing people in the back of a car when that wasn't in fact the case.
Okay.
I just feel like in general, Danielle came in. She's a new kid on the block. She had some loyalty to Teresa's because she already knew Teresa. That's how she got onto the show. And so I don't think she thought in any way, shape, or form that Teresa would lead her down a bad path.
And her friend did her done dirty.
Yeah, but she still, even when she realized it on the couch, just shut her mouth and didn't say anything. Like, she stood up for them and said, yeah, no, I don't think I was backstabbed. And then she goes and tells her husband, no, they betrayed me.
Interesting. Is kissing the ring.
What is that?
Can I tell you who's very scary is Teresa and her husband as a couple, but specifically her husband. I don't like him.
there's something super duper off. And this is why I really
but together, she's really like gassing him up and he's really like igniting her. That is like a chaotic combo.
But that's what Teresa always has done. She always did this for her previous husband.
Yeah. The way that she was trying to go at everybody, she was literally like blaming everyone for the fact that they went to jail. She was blaming everyone that they went to jail. She was like, you put me there. You ratted me. You nut. And none of the responsibility was on her or her ex-husband. Her brain don't work good. How can you not see this? He put you in jail. She would miss time from her daughters. She's mad at them. She just like can't get mad at the man in her life, which is really gross and sad that Louie is doing all this really weird. It's not understandable or rational.
Well, Teresa never wants to see, even though it's blatantly in front of your face, the crazy. She just doesn't want to see it. Now, her and Joe Giudice had been together since forever. So, like, they were young. There's not much to impress with her. I mean, she doesn't have a ton upstairs. So he's Italian, she's Italian, whatever. They had history. So I can somewhat excuse that because, she was in it for life. But the Louie thing, she just chose to just blindly bypass any of these red flags. And she would get mad at anybody who tried as a friend to just showcase, hey, something's feeling a little fishy. And that's why her and Margaret have this like massive tension because Margaret brought it to her attention.
It's like a really weird identity thing. I know a lot of women have it where their identity is that they are a wife. Their identity is that this is their husband. Like their identity is really in their partner. And insulting their partner or criticizing their partner is like such a knock on their decision-making ability. There's like a whole community of women that just like dream to be married. And the title of wife is very important to them.
I feel like it either happens when you're very young, or then I think it happens when you're like in your very early 30s and your biological clock is ticking.
So I don't have that disease. I don't know what brain disease that is, but be careful because look what happened to Teresa.
That disease is in full force.
So I don't have that, like where my identity is in that title of wife. But I know that there's, especially I'm sure with Italian women, because it's like about being a mom and being the wife and being the woman of the house. And this is the man. And there's like a lot of machismo around that kind of thing.
There is.
I think that is like definitely a cultural thing. Oh my God. I kind of am like, Jackie made me watch a cartoon. This is a cartoon.
An adult cartoon, and you're welcome.
Yeah, the adult cartoons are porn. Okay, this was a cartoon. It felt like they were playing mafia. That they're like, we're Italian, so we pretend like we're in the mafia. We pretend like we're connected and we're going to fight with people. It felt like pretend. They all felt like they were being caricatures, especially Teresa and Louie. And this Bo Diddley dude.
Bo Diddle.
Sure. I was watching it and I was like, this isn't real. The writer's strike is happening. And this is what happens when the writer's strike happens, is that these cartoons happen where adults pretend because they're Italian, they're mobsters. See,
this is why you can't come into a reunion episode and have feelings because you haven't done the due diligence or put in the time. It's like a bystander. It's like my husband coming in and talking to us about Scandival.
Sure. But don't you also think that somebody can come in and have like a perspective instead of having those nuancy perspectives, again, like Lala and Katie with Raquel and Sandoval? From the outside, they're like, this is kind of what's happening. I can just see it because I'm not in the nuance. The nuance isn't messing me up.
But the nuance is where it's important because this is how they are every single reunion.
They were exhausting.
That's because they fight to the death. This is so ingrained in them.
What are your feelings about Teresa and Melissa? Whose kind of team are you on? And who do you think?
Melissa.
Okay. That was easy.
Not even a question. Teresa cannot let go of anything. She has done awful things to this person. I mean, horrendous.
Yeah, she seems really
She
rude.
has tried to do smear campaigns for Melissa's character year after year after year. She is so jealous.
The thing that I did think was a little gross. And by the way, I feel like I definitely have these tendencies, even though I did feel it was gross. But I did feel it was gross. She kind of was getting her daughters, the nieces in on it.
Wait, you're saying Teresa was gross or Melissa?
Teresa was gross when she was getting her daughters involved. That made me really, I did not enjoy that at all.
Yeah, because Italians are like, you don't bring in the children. She has tainted their waters. And when Teresa was in jail, Joe stepped in, her brother.
Right. That was super gross too, that she wouldn't acknowledge that. She wouldn't even give them that. She was like, don't say you put food on my table. They're saying they stepped up. They did the job. They came to work and they came to financially support and help your family when you guys were out.
I don't know how much, but I know enough from previous seasons. But the moment that Teresa is in a different relationship, any of that help goes out the window. Because if you even try to slight the person that she's currently with, that's it.
That's a gross behavior.
She holds the fact that Joe and his dad had some issues before his dad passed. And she holds...
Oh, what were the issues?
Well, because of Joe and Joe Giudice, their stuff in the past, it got in between Joe Gorga and his dad. And
because Joe Gorga's dad liked Joe Giudice?
Yeah, they had a really good relationship. And even Teresa's dad came and lived with them after her mom died. But there's so many undertones here, because Teresa lost her mom when she was in jail.
I also remember, again, so sorry, I'm just kind of starting to recall some things. I remember Teresa's dad was very important to her.
Huge. I mean, look, they were very, very tight and they were best friends. And so I think that going back to my reasoning about Teresa being jealous of Melissa, Teresa was always going to be jealous of whoever Joe married because it's going to take away her time from Joe. And the fact that Joe and Melissa had this relationship that I think Teresa always wanted from Joe Giudice.
Hey, I have a weird question, okay?
Yeah.
What I'm going to say is a real creepy question, but this is my impression, is that Joe is a fairly normal guy. He's with it. And Teresa seems like maybe she hadn't been properly diagnosed with a severe learning disorder. And that growing up, she overdoes her love and loyalty for some people, irrationally so. And when her brother is like, hey, yeah, that's not how I do things, she doesn't understand and loses her mind. It does feel like she has a little incesty feelings for her brother.
Oh, no.
Okay.
I just think you have to think about two people who are best friends. And yet here comes in his wife, who she doesn't feel is old school Italian enough.
Yeah, but don't you think that's delusional?
What? Excuse me?
Sorry. I'm just asking questions. I'm trying to catch up. Okay, sorry.
I think that she felt that Melissa tried to change Joey, which, they're creating their own family union. They're raising their 3 kids. And so I think Melissa just has a competitive nature, Teresa is naturally a super competitive person and couldn't handle this type of competition. She always wanted to be, the parents' favorite. Her family always had to look a certain way or be the most Italian. And I cooked for dad and he came and lived with me. And I think she is super competitive, even though she's super in love with her brother. He is her biggest competition. And whenever...
I like what you just said about how she has to be number one, because even when somebody on the stage was getting a little attention or too much attention, or they said her word namaste, she really was very animal about being that number one position. She's
triggered, and also she always has to put in the last word.
And by the way, that's something I hated, was Melissa has that too, because they kept being last word. I was like, okay, Melissa, you're smart enough to do that.
That's why she's doing it. In past seasons, Melissa was very reserved and she would take it. And now she has reached her end.
And how do you feel about this reunion in general, that being said?
What I just don't see is there is no way that all of these people are liars.
Right.
There's no way.
Right.
It doesn't just happen, yep, that's my number, but I didn't do that. Nope, those are robocalls. No, I never called her in prison, All we would have to say was, yeah, I fucking came for all of you. I've got dirt on every single one of you. You all have been coming for me, so I came for you harder. I can respect that, but instead, he's a little tool bag. He speaks out of both sides of his mouth. When Teresa's not in the room, he's all well, I think let's go take a shot. We'll put this behind us. And then as soon as he's next to Teresa, you don't fucking talk to my wife that way. I'll come for you and your family,
Do you think that's because that's what gets Teresa going, is a man being macho? Well, and then they said that he had allegations of abuse in his past relationships.
Yes. There's a video of him. This is what all sparked the problem. And this is why Margaret is one of Teresa's villains.
Do you know why I like Margaret? Also, I love the Jewish community. Because it felt like she wasn't afraid to be the villain. Like she owned her bad behavior, but it felt like Teresa was like, no, I'm still a good girl. Yeah, I do all this terrible stuff, but I'm still a good girl. And Margaret was like, yeah, I did that bad thing. And I kind of liked that.
Margaret doesn't know in the moment when she gets triggered, she can't stop herself either. And she says certain things that go just a little bit too far below the belt, but they're not inaccurate. Margaret is a very good friend to her friends. And I think that she's nosy. Oh yeah. Like I think Margaret's super nosy.
But it also feels like she owns it. She owns her stuff.
She does, as opposed to Jennifer Aydin, who pretends like you're okay. And then she continues to do these disgusting things on the side. Teresa, similarly to Lisa Vanderpump, Teresa doesn't like to get her hands dirty, even though her hands are filthy. And everyone knows it. She's not as professional as Lisa Vanderpump, but she has Jennifer Aydin do her dirty work. I wasn't there for the conversation. Louie was the one who called Joe. I didn't do any of that. Bullshit.
Teresa and Jen feel very, very they feel like 14-year-old girls to me.
Oh, they are. But Jennifer Aydin is the most hypocritical because she did exactly to Melissa what Margaret had done to her, or she felt like the year prior.
Yeah.
You know you're doing that to someone.
Yeah. And her excuse was it had been done to me. That's, to me, really vile.
And she'd already made up with Margaret.
It's such like a cognitive disability to be like, oh, a bad thing was done to me. And instead of me being like, I know how it feels, so I don't want to do that to other people, it's, oh, a bad thing was done for me, so I can do it to somebody else because I went through it. And that is like a very middle school brain.
I just don't know why these people go on these shows if you have skeletons in your closet.
I don't think they're smart enough.
That's very much probably it. Because it just makes no sense to me. If you think it's not going to come out, it's always going to come out. Jennifer Aydin came on this show after knowing that her husband had cheated on her.
Well, and I think also the women that get cast in reality television are under the delusion that whatever polite society kind of happens, usually that decorum is going to continue in reality TV. Oh, people don't talk about the affair. You know, like my friends don't really ask me about it. They don't talk about it. So in reality TV, it won't be discussed. And it's like, no. The things that people normally are like, we don't talk about that. That's the things that everyone yells about in reality TV. And so it is delusion.
That's why I think I like Margaret so much, because she doesn't lie about, I cheated on Jan, which, by the way, it took me a really long time to recognize that Jan was a man.
I didn't know that. So thank you for clearing that.
Mm-hmm. She's like, yeah, I have done these things.
I do like that about her because it almost also makes her a little bit bulletproof.
Exactly.
What do you think? And I'm going to be honest with you, just again, as somebody stepping in, it does feel like Melissa, though lovely, that there's not a lot of there. And by the way, no insult to her. She feels like lovely and normal for the most part. I don't get what she's going to bring to the show. Like I kind of get what Teresa's bringing. The fact that she is a wild, chaotic animal is something, but it doesn't feel like there's a lot of like juicy stuff there with Melissa.
That has been the problem this whole time, is that, what is Melissa and Joe's storyline if Teresa's not there? If there was a Real Housewives men of New Jersey, Joe Gorga would be killing it and slaying it. There just isn't a lot of dirt or juice. And so Teresa, that's why she's the main character.
She's going to give something because she's so chaotic. Something's going to come out of her. She's going to create a mess somewhere because she's always creating messes everywhere.
And this tension between Teresa and Melissa has been that consistent thread through this entire story. And that is why, it keeps them kind of coming back for more.
That Teresa, to me, what would be very humbling for her is putting her on pause for a season.
Yeah, but I think that Andy doesn't know, Bravo doesn't know how to replace that kind of crazy.
But I think Jennifer Aydin, just based on what I saw, Jennifer Aydin would step up. She has a lot of chaos. Margaret would step up.
No.
Like Dolores is interesting to me. I loved Dolores's little her boyfriend. Like, I don't need it to be all dark, bad drama. To me, like, their cute little love is adorable. Her and her boyfriend, her silly dynamic with her ex. Like, I could get into a little bit of that, a little bit more.
But Jennifer Aydin is only Jennifer Aydin like this when she knows she's got Teresa next to her. If she doesn't, then she plays both sides. So
Right, which could be interesting. I think the problem with Jersey that I feel, again, this is just me going in, is that it feels like a lot of it is hinging and focused on Teresa, which is again like causing this like cycle of her gassing herself up and the show being about her, because now she's like, it's fueling her ego and thus fueling the show a little bit. And I think if you genuinely removed Teresa, little interesting things would happen. I think Jennifer and Margaret, the two of them, and Danielle, I really liked, felt interesting enough that they could really make stuff happen, and it would be more of an ensemble cast. I definitely think Melissa would take a lesser seat because unfortunately she's not as dramatic.
I agree with you. And plus, I also have very similar feelings about Louie and Teresa as I do about Tom Sandoval and Raquel. I want them to burn to the ground and like just be destroyed.
I honestly think for the public safety, Louie does need to be destroyed. He is scary to me.
Exactly. So I would really love it if like everything got taken away from them and like everyone had to come groveling back and like apologize it, doing the apology tour. I would love it. Teresa's head's gotten so huge, it's almost as big as her wedding hair. That bubble needs to get flippin' popped. And I thought that maybe going to jail was going to do it, but it hasn't. So I feel like Louie needs to get his knees cut off at the very bottom and he just needs to crumble.
Whoa, you say wild stuff. Okay, can I make 2 wild predictions? I don't know if they're that wild.
I love it.
I feel like Louie and Teresa combo will likely, for sure, end Louie up in jail. But maybe might even end up with Teresa in jail once again. That's the vibe.
I feel that vibe too, yeah.
Like, oh, that wasn't Teresa's last time in jail. And he's definitely going to jail. 100%. This guy's definitely going to be in jail.
He's way slimier than her. She's not bright enough to like know what's behind the scenes.
It felt like she knew enough about like all the creepy private investigator stuff, the harassment stuff. Like she knew enough about it to where she's kind of incriminated in this.
She doesn't like to dig too deep because then she knows that she does know stuff.
But she seemed to have known a lot of the harassment that was going on, a lot of the stalking.
That's because it's been talked about.
But right away she was like, no, like Teresa had a reason right away. She was like, no, because you can clone phones. Like, so she knew this was coming.
This has been happening since last season.
Right. But that's what I'm saying is that she knows. She's in on it. She's incriminated. She's with him. She's a partner in crime.
Absolutely. I agree. I don't disagree with anything you're saying right now.
And then my other kind of prediction is if she stays with Louie, I think the girls, her daughters, will start to not have a relationship with Teresa. Because the longer you're around that dude, Louie, the more you don't want to be around that dude.
Nah, he's wearing their grandpa's pajamas to make them feel safe, man. He is playing that so creepy.
No, but that can only be held up for so long. That farce, that image, because the girls are going to be like, Mom, he's creepy. Mom, he threatened my friends. Mom, he threatened my boyfriend. Mom, he said this to me. And the girls are going to start pulling away from Teresa because of him. That's what I think.
I could see all of these things happening. It's very rare that you and I both agree on a lot of these things. And this is one of those that I could completely see happening.
Yeah, that is a scary, him in particular is scary, but her star power, her influence, her money, I'm sure is helping fuel his danger.
She's deluded, and I agree. He loves this. He lives for it.
Oh yeah. And he loves it. And he loves what the element that she is bringing. The attention, the money, the fans.
They're both bipolar. I'm telling you, like they're both crazy.
Something, dude.
They're off their rocker.
And this is why this is a note. This is a note to all 2 of our listeners. Don't go in tanning beds, okay? This is what happens. Your brain gets cooked if you spend too much time in tanning beds. Sure, it's bad for your skin. Sure, it could cause cancer. But more importantly, your brain's going to get fried. And we'll call these 2 Exhibit A and Exhibit B, okay? No more time in tanning beds.
And then instead of skin cancer, you become the cancer.
Yes. Oh my God. Can I also ask you, to me, it felt like Andy was completely exhausted with all of them. I mean, but with Melissa and then Teresa, I felt like he was like, if I ever see you again in my life, it's too soon.
Yeah. Well, and I think that Melissa unfortunately lowered herself to Teresa's level way too many times this reunion, and that is unlike her. And so I think Andy is normally super exhausted by Teresa, but the fact that he's getting it from both sides, I just think it was too much for him.
It felt like he hated Teresa.
Yeah, he kind of like apologized because he's like losing his shit up there with her. But it's because she doesn't let a single other person talk ever.
If Bravo put her on pause for a season or even two, not only would that mess up her ego, that would mess up the power structure and make it, when she came back on, make it a lot more interesting.
I could use a little less Teresa in my life.
Well, I think it's either that or she will end up in jail. Whichever one comes first, however she's humbled. I
did watch What Happens Live, and Teresa was on it and Louie was in the audience. And it seemed as if she was a little bit, the rose-colored glasses were a little bit off. She wasn't as fight to the death for him. Mm-hmm. I also think that Teresa didn't want another failed anything on TV.
Sure, 100%. What did you think about Watch What Happens Live? What were like the indicators for you that the rose-colored glasses were coming off?
You know, strangely enough, this was a couple weeks ago, I feel like. And there were just some comments that Andy asked her. And normally, Teresa is always, no matter what, will defend Louie blindly. It doesn't even matter what the question is. Nope, Louie would never do that. No, Louie doesn't do that. You know, he would never do that. No, that wasn't him. These were a little bit, she would pause. She'd be like, yeah, well, you know, and it was shocking.
I think if he starts going at the girls and making their lives hard, that will be when Teresa really, and maybe that's happening as we speak, is why the rose-colored glasses are kind of coming off.
You've already gone through this, and you're making the same crazy mistakes again, very publicly. And I just don't think that you can be as Team Teresa with this one. She made a choice. You're grown.
Yeah, she's a little too old to be making decisions this bad.
So if you're going to allow to walk yourself in again into a lion's den, well, then guess what? You deserve to be prey.
Oh, shit, bitch. You have some hot takes. Who would you keep? Who would you get rid of? Who do you think needs more attention, less attention going into next season?
I'd keep them all.
Okay. That's not the popular opinion. People want either Teresa or Melissa gone.
I wouldn't mind Teresa being gone because I think then maybe some storylines that are a little bit more within the group could evolve. I could be down with that. But at the same time, I would be fine with the whole cast if this wasn't the same storyline. But I don't see how it couldn't be. Something needs to change, or someone needs to just destroy Louie right now so that way this can change.
I don't think that that's possible if Teresa's shielding him. And by the way, he picked her out on purpose. He's like, she's a perfect shield for whatever the fuck I'm about to do. All the criminal shit. What are your impressions about the men? Because I really liked Joe and I liked Frank. I actually liked all of them except for Louie.
I would love a Real Houseman of New Jersey.
Really?
I would love it.
There is a complaint that there's too much of them and they are getting a little big for their own britches, thinking they're the stars.
But they are the stars in some ways. They are really good supporting cast. They can put the stuff behind them and move forward. But then if it rears back up, then they'll pull it out. But they don't keep playing this catty stuff. They're there to have a good time, get way too drunk for their age bracket. I mean, when Bill Aydin gets wasted, I lose my mind. It's great TV.
Was he on something at the reunion? He looked a little drunk or something.
He probably maybe is always that a little bit, but he always has to be a little drunk to have Jennifer as his wife. However,
well, don't you think that's sad? I think that their marriage is very sad.
It is very sad, but they also have a cultural difference than everyone else. You know, arranged marriages are not unusual.
Oh shit, they're an arranged marriage?
They're not an arranged marriage, but they do come from.
Okay, then why'd you say that?
Because are they arranged? Oy, now you're making me think separately.
You brought it up.
I know. They have that's in their culture is to do these types of things. You don't change the partner you're with. You're in it. They really don't believe a lot in divorce. And, you work through the hard times. You have these families and you make it work. She was fine with a lot of these things until everything's magnified because you go on TV.
That marriage seems real tragic to me. I don't like that he was spending like all this time in the pool house, guest house.
I'll spend time in the pool house. Pool house sounds great.
But it felt like that was his actual home. Like it felt like they were separated. You know when people split up and they like still share the same house for the kids, and dad stays in the pool house and mom's in the main house. It felt like that.
But have you ever just come home from work and you like didn't want to talk to anybody else?
Yes, every day, and I live by myself.
I think that he doesn't want to hear her yapping, and he really is like, I provide and you take care of the rest. I think that's how he is. And that was their arrangement for however long, and it worked for them until recently when Jennifer decided to start having a voice.
Well, but I also think that is like, again, a gross dynamic, which is fine. That's sometimes people's agreement to have that dynamic that I make money, you shut up. But I also feel like now this chick is bringing in a Housewives check. And so that shouldn't be the rub anymore. Like you don't get to stay in the guest house and that's the rules and you make money, I shut up because I'm making money too, bitch. So now you got to get in here and start parenting. Now you got to get in here and start being a partner because if it's about money, well, guess what? Now I got some zeros to help me out as well.
I don't know. I feel like if you're like, hey, this is our life, I want to go on the show. And he's like, okay, but this is the way it is. And now you want to flip the script and make him out to be the bad guy.
But things change.
I'm not saying that things don't change, but if things have been the way that they have.
If the script is I make money, you shut up. We do what I want because I make money. Then when she comes in and she goes, okay, I got money too. So now I get a voice because I make money too. That to me feels fair.
But do you not think that if you were in a relationship with somebody and you guys had like a relationship that all of a sudden one day your partner's completely different, it wouldn't kind of like be like,
we're ever-changing creatures. We're forever changing. We're forever evolving. We're not the same. I'm not the same as I was a month ago. I'm changing all the time. It's to be expected. It's to be expected that everything is going to change all the time.
She was fine about this whole affair until all of a sudden now she wasn't.
She was fine because she didn't have a choice.
No, because now she's got viewership.
Support.
Jennifer Aydin wasn't hurting. Okay, she used to wear Chanel.
It is isolating. I think you're underestimating how isolating it is as a housewife who doesn't have a job, who doesn't have coworkers, who doesn't have friends, and who doesn't have money without this person. So yeah, this dude is making the rules because he's bringing home the money. And what other choice does she have? She's unskilled. She's not very smart. She doesn't have any sort of like a support that she can rely on. But when she has fans, when she has support, and when she has a paycheck, she can come in and be like, okay, I'd like to kind of be happy now. And I'd like you not to make the rules for my life anymore. I'd like to make some rules for my own life now. That's
wow,
okay.
I cannot believe that we're like fighting over Jennifer Aydin because truly, I think that she is brutal. She is a social climber in every single facet.
How is she a social climber?
Oh, she is on this show. She used to try to show off her house. She only would wear Chanel. She only cares about certain things. She aligns with only Teresa.
That's what I'm saying. That's because she's got middle school brain. She's got middle school brain because she's like, to me, she feels very stunted. But when you're in middle school, you're like, hey, everybody, look at my cool new shoes. You know, like, hey, everybody, I'm wearing a cool outfit today. And so like, that's very like middle school is to flaunt but also, by the way, this is a woman that all things equal doesn't have a lot of self-worth. She doesn't have a job. She doesn't have a lot of talent. She doesn't like make a career. And so the things that she has and she can show off are like the opulence of the decision making. Oh, I don't have a job. I don't have autonomy over myself. And this is what I traded it in for. Come see what I traded in for.
Let's stop with the whole I don't have a job, because just because you're not bringing in something financially, being a mom and raising your children.
I think being a stay-at-home mom is like invaluable, but I know that there are power dynamics in a lot of relationships where that role is super diminished.
Don't let anyone fool you. Like, she was able to just go and do what she really wanted to do. And she made choices. Until she came on the show, she chose not to ever go on a trip without her husband. Until she came on the New Jersey Housewives.
Don't you think that's a little Stockholm syndrome-y?
She wanted so badly to be this quote-unquote quintessential housewife. And that's what she did. And she did it for years and years and years. And then all of a sudden, she's on here and she's got a voice now. And I'm not saying that she doesn't deserve to say what she wants to say. But I don't like the whole turn it around on Bill when Bill has been consistent the whole entire time.
Yeah, but Bill's also been consistently neglectful and consistently emotionally abusive.
Oh, I don't think he's been emotionally abusive. I think that
What?
I think Bill, no, I think that Bill has just been like, go do what you want to do. I'm going to go do the secretary.
Yeah, no, that seems emotionally like he's taking care of her. That's emotionally abusive shit. Hey, you don't have a choice because you don't make the money.
It's not that you don't have a choice. I think I think she had a choice. Bill doesn't seem like a super controlling person like that. I just think that
But
Bill's
neglectful, highly neglectful. He's neglecting his children. To stay in your pool house is wild. But you're a Bill supporter, you're a Bill stan.
I'm a Bill supporter because sometimes I will stay maybe 5 minutes extra in a shower just so I can have 5 minutes of alone time, of me time.
Sure, but that's not the same, by the way. I think everyone needs to take care of themselves mentally. Being a mom is a very hard job, and you do have to take care of yourself. Being a housewife and being a stay-at-home mom is a very hard job with no breaks. And so if you have no breaks and the dad doesn't come in to relieve you ever, and he just goes straight to the pool house because his job is hard.
Guess what? Jennifer Aydin has a break from like 8 until 3 something every single day. She has a break when her kids go to school from 8 until 3 o'clock.
She's not taking care of household stuff.
You have a fucking huge ass house. She's so brutal of a human that I don't think housekeepers want to even stay with her. But that is how she is. And really, she couldn't even find one for years.
So she maintains the whole house?
I don't even know.
That's that's a job. That big ass house? Cleaning that big ass house?
Sure, but I doubt that she was doing that all by herself. That's not her situation. So you're painting Jennifer to be like, oh, poor her. She's got plenty of time to go to Chanel and buy things.
Okay, I'm not painting it that poor her.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not painting it that poor her. But also, like, sure, let's just say she does have a break from 8 to 3. Let's just say that. Dad hours are the same hours as kid hours. So if the kids check in at 3, that's when mom goes. That's when mom job checks in. That's when dad job checks in. Is at 3 when the kids are around. So if he's taking breaks because he worked maybe the same hours the kids were at school, that means his dad hours don't ever cross with kid hours, which is crazy.
In his mind, and I'm just trying to think about it, playing devil's advocate, coming from a different culture, their job is to provide. And he feels like he's fulfilling that. But Jennifer Aydin, if I had that barking chihuahua next to me all the time, I would be living in that pool house.
I can kind of understand cultural differences. I can kind of understand that he's the main provider for this lavish lifestyle. But those two things are no longer the dynamic. You don't live in Turkey anymore, and that isn't the culture here. And your wife isn't not bringing in $0. She's bringing in dollars.
And where do you think that money's going towards? I don't think it's being like, hey, Bill, put this into our joint account. Don't think so.
To me, what is a little bit infuriating is you're giving him a lot of grace because you don't like this woman.
Correct.
But what I'm saying is I'm coming in fresh and I'm saying divorce her then. Divorce her if you don't like her. Because we're not in that culture. If you want to get a divorce, if you don't want to be in this situation, please exit, my friend. No one's holding you here. You're not in that culture. And by the way, if he wants to live in a separate house, he could fully live in a separate house than his wife.
I don't think that he wants to go through the headache of trying to find someone different.
It feels like you're making a lot. It feels like this is what I feel like. You love Bill.
I don't love Bill.
Okay, but you like him. You're like, he's a good time guy. Give him a drink and wind him up and he's good. He's a party. So it feels like you like him. You're entertained by him. You think he's a good time boy. And you are really maybe not seeing some big character flaws because you also very much dislike Jen. And I'm saying, I'm coming in here fresh and I'm seeing this.
You know what? I can appreciate those fresh, shiny eyes of yours. I maybe am giving Bill some leeway, like a lot. I'm not saying that Bill's style would be anything that I would be okay with. And then all of a sudden one day she flips a switch because she's a whack job and now expects her life to be completely different. And I think that that's very jarring. Our life has been X for so long and now you want to be, A, B, C, D, E. And so I just think on behalf of Bill, I'm giving him a little bit of space. And also I detest Jennifer Aydin.
I think it's probably jarring for somebody who's had their way for a very long time and who has been able to have their way for a very long time.
But I also think it's her way. Do you want to make money also and we can, do all that? Or do you want to be taken care of and have a lavish lifestyle and do all these things? And this is what you're doing to also help me. So when I come home.
By the way, those concessions can be made early and things change. As your kids grow up, you're like, okay, different plan. Now that the kids are older, this doesn't suit us. So we got to change our life. So do you think that he wants to take a break because now that she is making money, he would like to do less? And she's like, no. Now this means we can do more.
No, I think in his mind, he's like, leave me alone. I'm still doing what we've always said. I haven't changed because men, who they say they are,
I think you might be on the
are.
wrong side of history on this. You might be on the wrong side of history on this.
I'm just saying he is like, I haven't done anything different. I've done what you've asked. I've done my part. And now you want me to be a completely different human than what I've ever been just because you're choosing to be.
Right, because the circumstances have changed.
Just because she went on a TV show, the circumstances have changed?
Yeah. She went on a TV show. She's making a big ass fucking fat check.
Ugh. Jennifer Aydin can go suck it.
Oh my God. I think you just hate her too much to have a clear perspective on this.
Maybe that's what it is. I think we can just dance around this topic all day long. Now, do I think that, by the way, each person's lifestyle and choices are their own? Would I want to be in that relationship? No way. No way, shape, or form. No thanks. Not my thing. Would I mind being a stay-at-home mom and having 8 to 3 off? Yeah, I wouldn't be upset with that.
Well, any predictions, conclusions, or final statements on the New Jersey Housewives that you want to kind of tell the people about?
They consistently bring it year after year. And truth be told, I'm a fan and I'm here for it every single year.
Well, Jackie, thanks for these hot takes on the New Jersey Housewives, the Real Housewives of New Jersey. Do I wish that we were talking about Jersey Shore? Yeah, I do.
Should we fist pump? No one can see us, but we're doing it.
Jam, laundry. Jam, laundry. The Gabs here. Gabs here. You don't think I love Jersey Shore? I fucking love Jersey Shore. Gabs here. My keto Guido. There's so much. I love the Jersey Shore. If we want to talk about the Jersey Shore, that would have been...
Oh, God, that would have been prime time if this was taking place just like 10 years ago.
I know. We would have really been on it. All right, well, I love you. And we'll talk to you next time on What Are Y'all Talking About? Bye, Jackie.
Bye.
Bye.